Hamburglar?
He's kind of hot.
He is. He's a bad boy.
Yeah.
He's a criminal.
A People McNugget.
Don't let the ghosts and the ghouls disturb you, darling.
Well, hi there. You're listening to CAMP-O-RAMA, the only podcast recorded in 100% CAMP-O-RAMA. I'm your hostess, back on my bullshit, Lilith Fair. And today, we are talking about I Know Who Killed Me, released in 2007. And who else would I want to discuss this film with than the teen queen supreme of Calgary, yeast daddy, they, them extraordinaire, Anxiety.
Hi!
Hi, Diva.
Yes, Miss Teen Queen, 2007.
I don't know what it is, and I'm sure Valerie Hunt will be very jealous about this, but when I think of, like, Disney Channel original movies and, like, drag, I immediately think about you.
Which is really wild. I don't think I've ever performed a Disney Channel. That's a lie. I've done so many.
Yeah. What?
Oh my god, wow, Rip Val.
Yeah, truly. You've overtaken that spot, I think. So before we get into I Know Who Killed Me, which I know you have a lot to say about.
Mostly to ask.
I want our listeners at home, aka I want my mom, to know more about you. So how long have you been doing drag?
I've been doing drag for like 4 years? 4 or 5?
Fierce.
4.5.
And what was your first show / like number? Like what was your first experience
Oh
like?
Lord. My first number, I did like a 2 a.m. Sunday show. And I did Sleazy by Kesha, which also has, like, a lot of words that I don't know if you know me, but I don't really learn words well. But I was so fucking nervous that I just got blackout. Like, I just started drinking at, like, 8. And then I just, like, so I was on stage just, like, kind of stumbling around, not lip-syncing anything.
Why did you choose this song if you didn't want to learn the words?
I honestly tried.
What was it about Sleazy by Kesha that appealed to you about your first time?
I honestly didn't know what my first time, like, what my drag identity was going to be. Like, I didn't really know, so I was like, I'm going to be sexy. I'll be a sexy party girl.
And was your drag name always Anxiety? Like...
Yeah, from when I was going to be Jizzy McGuire.
Harkening back to Miss Teen Queen Supreme. Jizzy McGuire? I hate you.
I don't even know why. I've never even watched Lizzie McGuire. Just like the name.
So you attempt to do this sexy party girl persona, maybe doesn't click with you. So how would you describe Anxiety to someone if you were describing your drag character?
Like a really intoxicated clown on a unicycle, but like purposefully.
Not like all those clowns who ride unicycles by accident.
Exactly.
So there is this really exciting element to your drag. I really appreciate drag that isn't so much about impersonation of gender as it is about, like, parody of gender. Mm-hmm. And you do bearded drag, which I think is, like, a perfect example of that sort of, like, parody of gender expectation. Mm-hmm. What is it about bearded drag that appealed to you, and when in your drag journey did you start doing that?
I did it once or twice, maybe, like, my first couple times in drag.
Yeah.
I don't even remember why, but like my drag mother is a bearded drag performer in Vancouver. There's tons of bearded queens, so it wasn't like outrageous. Like one of my boyfriends was a bearded drag queen as well. Like there's so many of them. So
Rip me from Alberta.
literally.
Me being like, let me ask you this really deep question about like the role that your beard does in the deconstruction of
No,
gender.
I was going somewhere with it.
Okay,
Though.
work.
I was like, the reason I didn't want to be a bearded queen was because I was also just like, I started drag after a breakup, and I was just like all sorts of massacre, like unlike now, obviously. And I was dating this guy briefly, and we were fucking for like a couple weeks. And then one day I like shaved my beard because I was like just playing around with starting drag, and I wanted to do a full face. So I shaved my beard. I had like a big beard back then. And the guy that I was dating, he basically, like, we started fooling around the day after I shaved, and, like, in the middle stopped and was like, I'm not attracted to you anymore, you should leave. And I was like, okay. And I was like, well, fuck this. Like, I'm not gonna, like, let my entire, like, how I envision myself and, like, as a sexy person, I don't want that to be entirely wrapped up in my beard.
Yeah.
So I was like, I'm never gonna be a bearded queen. And then shaving was just so much work. Like, honestly, when I was only doing one show a month, that shit's fine. But, like, when you're doing a couple in a week, like, my face gets so raw.
Yeah, it's much harder to shave when you're a star.
Yeah, precisely.
Working all the time. But I guess, like, in the mainstream world of drag, which is a weird thing to say because I don't think drag should ever really be truly commercial and mainstream, but it is with the rise of RuPaul's Drag Race.
Yeah.
We don't see a tremendous amount of bearded drag. I guess that's what I meant, is that it is like overall still considered to be a subversive thing in the world of drag, just because the majority of people's exposure to drag is so narrow in definition because of that show. So who are some bearded drag entertainers that you look up to?
Yeah, I mean, Katie Harry, huge inspiration. Like, her makeup is, like, amazing and just, like, such a nice person. And when I saw her performing, like, before I'd even started drag, I was like, oh my god, you're amazing. Like, you're so funny and bubbly and kooky and, like, cool. I want to be like you. And you're, like, I don't know. Mm-hmm. So her, for sure. I mean, Madame Madness was on Holland's Drag Race, season 1. Yeah. She was amazing. Loved all her looks. And also, like, yeah. I was like, work, bitch, finally. My drag mother, Dust. Yeah. Huge fan.
Absolutely.
Yeah. That's it. Fuck everyone else.
And fuck everyone else we very earnestly try to do.
Yes.
I understand that about you and I. Something you and I have in common is that we both have an affinity for older gentlemen. So I guess marry, fuck, kill.
Oh, work.
Fuck.
I already hate this.
Marry, fuck, kill. Father Time. Adam of Adam and Eve. Or my literal grandfather.
Okay, well, I'm sorry, but I'm probably gonna kill your grandfather.
That's fine, he's already dead.
Oh no.
Anyway, thanks for reminding me.
I take it back. I'm gonna marry him. So I guess I'll fuck Adam.
Of Adam and Eve?
Yeah.
Yeah.
He obviously lays pipe if he progenated? What's the word?
Don't ask me, I went to theater school.
He made the whole human race.
Oh yeah, he did.
So, dick to bomb.
Yeah.
So yeah, I guess I'll marry Father Time.
He's got all that time money.
Right. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. It's so awkward when you're dating Father Time, but he doesn't have time for you.
He has time for that slut down the road!
So, a huge aspect of the film that we're about to discuss today is being a twin. But also, they discuss opposite personalities a lot in this film. Sort of a dichotomy, sort of a yin-yang sort of scenario.
But can I say, though, that it's not so much the big point of the movie being a twin, but the last part of it is a big point. 3/4 of it is not even really a thing.
Yeah, well, I mean, there are no actual points to anything in this film. But
correct.
Before we get to that, if Anxiety had a twin who was the opposite of Anxiety, what would their name be, and what would they be like?
Oh my god. Their name is Mon Amour. They're so stunning and beautiful and talented.
Mon Amour is your stigmatic twin.
Oh my god.
Everything that happens to you happens to her.
Oh, but she's for sure wearing the red.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. You are Aubrey Fleming and she's Dakota Moss. Absolutely.
Yeah. Blue medals are for winners.
Oh my God. You know that obviously this film stars Lindsay Lohan, and I guess you do have an affinity for Hilary Duff because your original drag name was going to be Jizzy McGuire. But if you remember, Lindsay Lohan and Hilary Duff back in the day had a feud because they were both trying to date Aaron Carter.
Oh no.
If you remember that. Are you more Team Lindsay or are you more Team Hilary Duff?
Honestly, I think I'm more Team Lindsay. You know, she's just a little grittier, and Aaron's a gritty guy.
Yeah.
Side note, I saw Aaron Carter in concert. like 5 years ago.
Did he perform Aaron's party?
And I won candy.
I mean, I guess that leads me to my follow-up question. Would you fuck Aaron Carter?
Absolutely. Oh my god. He looked...
You're going to take it from Aaron's party to Aaron's party and play?
Right, Aaron's P&P. Honestly, I was only probably arm's distance away. I probably could have reached, it was at Fortune Sound Club and there was 30 people there.
How was the quality of his skin?
Rough. Yeah. He's had a rough life.
He has had a rough life.
Oh, God.
Just like the movie we are about to talk about has had a rough life. Wow, smooth-ass transition. Today we are talking about I Know Who Killed Me, released in 2007, directed by Chris Sivertson and written by Jeff Hammond. The film stars Lindsay Lohan, Neil McDonough, who I knew from Desperate Housewives and you knew as the dad from The O.C., and Jessica Rose, a.k.a. Lonely Girl 15. Do you remember Lonely Girl 15?
No. Who is she?
There was this YouTube show called Lonely Girl 15, and she started out as just kind of an usual teen girl vlogger, but then as the series went on, there started being more cult stuff in it, and she gets kidnapped, and it becomes a thriller, and so it was then revealed, and people were mad because they were like, oh, we subscribed to this channel because we really liked this girl, and then it just turned out to be this completely scripted from the beginning thing that was just structured to look like YouTube videos of the time. Anyway, she's in this movie. This was her cinematic debut.
Oh my god.
I like to know who is in charge of these films a little bit, so I always look up the director and the writer. And I think, of surprise to no one, neither director Chris Sivertson or writer Jeff Hammond had been involved with anything I had ever heard of, ever before, which is impressive because I know a lot of really weird shit.
Yeah.
Writer Jeff Hammond, believe this or not, and I think you're going to believe it,
oh god,
has only ever written this.
I can't believe I'm shocked.
Believe it, bitch. This is real life. Oh. Sometimes people get cut.
People get cut, that's life.
The movie received abysmal scores. It has a 3.6 out of 10 on IMDb, a 9% on Rotten Tomatoes, and a 16 on Metacritic. Richard Roeper made it the #1 film on his worst movies of 2007 list, and then a couple years later gave it the top spot on his worst of the 2000s list.
What a celebrated film. I low-key thought that Lindsay Lohan wrote it herself.
Fuck. She was like, well, I have nothing to do, so. The movie won 8 of 9 Razzies, which it was nominated for, which beat the previous records held by Battlefield Earth and Showgirls. Some of its wins included Worst Picture, Worst Excuse for a Horror Movie, The movie won 2 Worst Actress awards for both of the characters played by Lindsay Lohan.
She won the award twice.
She won Worst Actress as Aubrey Fleming and Worst Actress as Dakota Moss.
Oh my god.
And then it also won Worst Remake or Ripoff. And then in quotations, it said Saw, Hostel, and The Patty Duke Show.
What is I don't even know what that is.
It's an American family sitcom from the 60s. The film... Okay.
Oh, no.
Trivia time.
Oh, God.
Do you think this movie... Don't worry, trivia is super easy around here. Do you think this movie made money?
I really hope so.
You know what, then? You're going to be kind of pleasantly surprised. The film cost $12 million to make, and at the box office was a huge flop. It only made back $9.7 million. But in DVD sales, which, I mean, we watched it on DVD because I am a literal grandpa. Rum Raisin is the best ice cream. Fight me. In DVD sales, it made an additional estimated $28 million.
Oh my god.
So it has...
Work.
It's made its money back.
Yeah, and more.
Absolutely.
Go off, Lindsay.
So the movie opens on a stripping sequence. In this really wonderful little burlesque club, Lindsay pushes aside a curtain and walks out to just the worst music. All of the music in this movie is awful, by the way.
Yeah, it was all just like free music.
From like YouTube.
Yeah.
The sound library. If you notice though, in none of the something like 10 million stripping scenes in this movie, not once in any scene does Lindsay Lohan show her breasts because she had a no nudity clause in her contract, which resulted in bras with pasties on them.
Yeah, and they were it was like a bikini top with with pasties over top, but then all the girls around had their nipples out, so it was just so confusing.
And Lindsay was the one making the most tips.
Yeah.
So I guess everyone in that club is a
hates
prude.
tits.
Yeah, they're like, keep it on.
Put it back on.
But to prepare for the stripping scenes in the film, I guess Lindsay Lohan took a whopping 4 months of stripping lessons.
Wow.
Have you ever taken stripping classes?
I have no body strength anywhere. My entire body is just kind of like rubber. I'd be terrible at it.
As she's dead, you would be terrible.
Okay, but wait. So she took 4 months. She didn't do any actual dance moves.
No.
At all. That's coming from me.
Well, I mean,
she just leaned up against the wall and arched her back. That's literally all she did.
And she looked great.
Yeah, she did. She tousled her hair around.
Yeah.
It was a weird choice that she didn't have the red hair. Oh, I guess it wouldn't make sense with the blue theme. Never mind.
Oh yeah, everything in this movie is blue.
Unless it's red.
And speaking of red, she's working the pole and she slides her hand down it and just a bunch of blood is on the pole.
Yeah.
Have you ever experienced a bloody pole?
Oh. Yes.
We cut to our main character, Aubrey Fleming, played by Lindsay Lohan. She is reading a story about how she's always felt like an incomplete person with an incomplete soul. Sorry, half a person with half a soul.
Half a
That's
soul.
what it is. This really obvious story that just is the theme of the movie.
Yeah.
Really badly written nonsense.
It cuts also to the class of high schoolers, and they all have literally no emotion on their face whatsoever. They're not interested, they're not bored, they're not excited, they're not thinking it's funny. It's just complete blank faces.
Have you ever gotten in front of an audience and done something you were really proud of and didn't get the response you wanted? I didn't realize that question was a read until it was most of the way out of my mouth.
That's absolutely happened so many times in my life. Jesus Christ.
Wait, tell us about a time.
No. Oh my god. I think my most horrific performance was when I did a 10-minute comedy set at a club opening that the sound just didn't work.
Oh.
So nobody could hear me. Not a single person.
But you just proceeded.
But I kept going.
Did you know?
I kind of figured. I was everyone's talking so loud.
Oh, you were You were like, the sound must be bad because no one's laughing.
Yeah.
They must not be able to hear my incredible jokes.
No. That sound legitimately didn't work. The club owner was so upset afterwards, and I'm like, it's cool, it's fine.
Oh my god.
Also wearing a diaper.
What? Were you in drag?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. We cut to Aubrey Fleming at her piano lesson. She's being taught piano by this, like, incredible foppish character. I love queer-coded villains.
Yeah.
He's like, Aubrey, you're so talented. And the Young Artists competition is next month. And then Aubrey, she decides that she is too busy for piano. She really needs to dedicate all of her efforts to her writing, so hopefully the next time she gets in front of her class, they'll smile.
That's literally the motivation.
A little bit. And so she tells the piano teacher that she just can't continue with piano. And he's very upset because the Young Artists competition is next month. But then he reminds her that she should continue playing piano because she's already won the Young Artists competition. So
Yeah.
she can compete 2 years in a row?
Yeah, that sounds rigorous.
If I won something, I would be like, I already won that. I'm never competing in that again.
Could you imagine doing BNDS or ANDS again?
Yeah, I can imagine it. I imagine it all the time. I imagine myself standing at that finish line once again, and they say, Lilith, there really is no one better. And they put that crown on my head again.
It's great to dream.
So in a huff, the piano teacher's like, oh, fine. And he gets into a car. By the way, that is a better Kim Cattrall impersonation than Pandora Box on All-Star 6.
Nasty.
And then we just get a random shot of Aubrey's disgusting naked cat's balls.
Oh, yeah. There's, like, they centered the camera on the balls, too. Like,
Do you have a friend with a pet you think is ugly?
anyone with a hairless cat.
Do you know anybody with a hairless cat?
Yeah. Some gay. Some local gay, I can't remember.
Oh, good. T.
Sorry. I don't remember.
I mean, looking at that, I mean, it reminded me of the time that I shaved my balls. Which is the closest I've ever been to owning a hamster.
Disgusting. Oh my god. Jail.
We cut to outside Aubrey's high school. And Anne mentioned this while we were watching it. The presentation of the scenes is so disconnected. Like, nothing flows into anything else. It really is just like, here's a scene, here's a scene, here's a scene. It's quite jarring.
Yeah, it doesn't, like... I feel like it kind of just goes without saying in almost any other film that there's, like, a rationale for things to be happening. And there just isn't.
Yeah, things just happen at us. We are just told what they want us to know at any given time.
Yeah.
It's reckless.
It's really hard to follow.
Aubrey's boyfriend approaches her outside of their school.
Wait, I thought the
And-
first time that you meet him is in the classroom.
No, it's outside because he gives her the blue rose.
Oh, yeah.
How do you feel about the blue rose?
I fucking hate it. You know what? There's naturally colored blue flowers in the world. And that they could have used. Like, they literally took, like, a white rose and just, like, used Kool-Aid powder on it to turn it blue.
Have you ever gotten a gift from a boyfriend or a partner?
No,
and
never.
it was
Every boyfriend I've ever had is rotted.
Okay, fine. I'll generalize. Have you ever gotten a gift? Because Aubrey didn't seem too impressed by the blue rose. I think she felt similarly to us. Like, what the fuck? Have you ever gotten a gift that was just absolute garbage?
Yes.
Tell me about it.
So I know I've never gotten a gift from any boyfriends, but...
Oh, so you're a liar?
I am,
Not
yeah.
like Dakota.
Not like
She'd
Dakota.
never lie.
Unless it's about social insurance. Fucking bitch. Oh my god. I got this board game from a boyfriend who literally just wanted the board game for himself. And it's like not a fun game or anything I'm interested in the least. was fucking so dumb. And I was like, thank you. But I'm still petty and kept it when we broke up.
Of course.
And I still have it.
That scene, of course, cuts to then Aubrey and her boyfriend in a chemistry lab where they are discussing, like, the genitals of microscopic things.
Yeah.
And it becomes abundantly clear to us that Aubrey's boyfriend is super H-Town. He puts his hand on her thigh. She pushes it away. She's like, is that all I am to you? A hole? Am I just a hole to you?
No, what did she say? She said something about, like, something to occupy you before the party or something.
Oh, yeah. What am I? Someone to relax you before the big game.
Oh, my God. So dumb. And at that point, we didn't know that there was a big game yet.
Yeah, we didn't. They just let us know. We didn't know he played football. We just know that he, on his route to school, walks by a flower shop that sells cheaply dyed roses. And he really thought, my girlfriend, that's going to get her wetter than a snack cake.
And
it doesn't.
I want to rub her thigh in biology class, which is also confusing because they're, like, literally dissecting something. Like, there's dissection trays.
Yeah.
But then he's, like, showing the teacher something in the microscope. And I'm like...
And gets ridiculed.
Yeah.
By the teacher because he can't properly identify the genitals of whatever they're looking at under that microscope.
Yeah, they heavily imply that he was a faggot for that.
Yeah. The whole audience laughs.
Yeah.
They're like, you got it wrong. That's the dick. And then Lindsay Lohan fully leans in and is like, guess you're going to need a little bit more studying up on the female anatomy. And I'm like, girl, that's what he's asking you for.
Naturally. You just got so pissed about this, like, 3 frames ago.
You were like, I'm not just a hole, daddy.
My God, Lindsay.
And if that doesn't kill Lindsay Lohan's boyfriend's boner, then the news of Jennifer Dolan's death hopefully
Okay,
will.
but, like, that's the scene also where I was, like, legitimately convinced for the whole movie that she was just, like, multiple personalities.
What? How? Why?
Because she was, like, so mad about him touching her leg and then turned around and was just like, oh, wow. You know?
Oh, right, yes.
I was like, are
In
you
that
2
scene.
people?
Like, she was like, no sex. And then very flirtatiously is like,
Yeah.
guess you need to know more about it, big boy.
Yeah.
Yeah, jock daddy.
I was like, oh my God.
Would you allow yourself to be something that football player could use to relax before the big game?
Absolutely.
Thank you.
He
Thank
looked
you
like
for so patiently waiting for me to ask that question because you knew exactly what I was asking.
fully. He was like, they couldn't afford Chad Michael Murray, so they got that guy.
I mean, Lindsay Lohan has no shortage of, like, hot guys that want to bang her in this movie. Because she gets home and her gardener...
Oh my God, I forgot about that.
Her gardener was fully, like... He's clearing branches into a wood chipper and fully, like, strokes a branch like it's his dick, even though she is wearing, like, a full turtleneck and these, like, shin-high boots. The ugliest thing I think I've ever talked about on this podcast, and that includes all the outfits from the Spice World movie and the Catwoman suit from Catwoman.
Yeah, it was like a turtleneck poncho with sleeves and, like, khaki pants.
But he honestly had no room to be picky about it because he had the worst scorpion nipple tattoo I've ever seen in my entire life.
He, like, literally tattooed his actual nipple black.
Have you ever been with somebody and they had a distractingly terrible tattoo? Like, you were into them, but they had a tattoo on their body that you hated so much it was kind of a turnoff.
Surprisingly, no.
What would a turnoff tattoo be?
I mean, the obvious answer is like a swastika.
I guess there was a serious answer. I was thinking something more jokey and fun.
I don't know, maybe like a My Little Pony tattoo would be kind of weird.
So that cuts to this football game, which I guess Aubrey's boyfriend must be so fucking tense. He's not relaxed at all.
Yeah.
But she brings the blue rose. It cuts to blue a lot in this scene. The blue really starts to amp up how obnoxious it is here, I think.
Yeah.
And I looked up why everything was blue, and literally the only description available anywhere is Blue represents Aubrey's personality.
Oh, yes. Blue raspberry, Lindsay Lohan.
Yeah, it's not even like an appealing blue. It is like a very unnatural, really like kind of hard to look at blue.
Yeah, it's like when you take like a blue photo on Instagram and like fucking rip the saturation up to max.
Absolutely, it's so fucking nasty. So after the football game, Aubrey is walking through the crowded streets with her friends. They have some bullshit chit-chat that I wasn't really paying attention to.
Yeah.
And Aubrey sees her boyfriend in the distance and is like, I'm going to go catch him. I'll catch up with my friends later. And she walks into the crowd and she is kidnapped at some point in there. And her friends are looking for her. They're standing in front of this theater where
her
they
boyfriend
said they
was
were
drinking and
meet.
driving.
No, the gardener was drinking and driving.
Oh, the gardener.
Yeah.
Oh, I thought that was her boyfriend.
No, the gardener is only in 2 scenes.
Right.
The one where he is stroking the branch and when he's there the night she's kidnapped because he's a red herring.
Right.
We're supposed to, as an audience, think maybe the gardener did it.
I didn't even know it was him. I forgot entirely about his whole character. Fuck. Great job.
And so this movie, which has otherwise had this kind of like failing to be serious tone, then takes a hard left into torture porn territory. Because we cut to, pun intended, Lindsay Lohan tied to this table where this unseen masked figure has her kept in a torture chamber. He pulls out a bunch of dry ice, puts it on her hand, lifts it, a bunch of her skin comes off with it.
And he gives her drugs so she's conscious the whole time.
Yeah, gives her like an obscene amount of like amphetamine so that she's conscious. Teases her with his really wild looking blue glass torture devices.
Some sort of Game of Thrones nonsense.
Yeah, dragon blades. Yeah, and it's just like this torture scene that just kind of keeps going.
For a really long time.
It's like 5 minutes of Lindsay Lohan screaming through a gag.
Yeah.
But the police are on the case. The police are looking for her. The FBI is looking for her. Of course, the FBI had to set up shop in a local church. I'm guessing they just like didn't have a police station set.
Yeah.
And they had this church readily available to them. Because, I don't know, do the FBI set up in churches? I don't think they would. For this, like, serial killer case?
In New Salem. I also like to point out the, like, search and rescue scene where they're, like, wandering through a field, but, like, the last place she was seen was, like, downtown. So I don't know how they selected this field as like a possible place for her to be.
She loved fields. She loved to run. She loved to write. She loved to play piano. Actually, just kidding. She fucking hated playing piano.
Yeah, good thing she quit because she got her fucking hand chopped off.
But one of the police officers, I think we need to talk about this one line in particular, because one of the FBI agents walks into the middle of this room, which is like covered in photos of like these dead girls, missing girls, like leads about who this serial killer could possibly be. He walks into the center of the room and says, I hope this little investigation doesn't interfere with bingo night.
And then like the Who starts playing and CSI credits roll.
I like when screenwriters unintentionally say ACAB. We cut to a woman who is driving down the highway. She has incredible lips. Mm-hmm. Like, those are some Calgary drag scene lips.
Yeah.
And she's having a conversation on the phone that's like, my boyfriend is too in love with me. Oh my God, we finished each other's sentences. I guess what I'm saying is, have you ever been upset because someone is too in love with you?
Cannot relate. Oh my God. Absolutely cannot. I'm a Libra. That's what other people cry about.
Oh. So I guess a coyote runs in front of this woman's car and she swerves so that her headlights are looking in the exact perfect direction to find what we think is the discarded bloody body of a still alive Aubrey Fleming. And she wakes up in the hospital.
Okay, but don't forget the iconic line. Are you okay? There's just like a bloody corpse with like missing arms and legs. Hey, UK.
So,
Rotted.
who we think is Aubrey wakes up in hospital. She wakes up during a surgery. They put her back down immediately. It's just like a needless scene of tension that's like badly shot. She wakes up in hospital. And there is... you just remembered what we're about to talk about.
It's so bad.
There is this vision of a woman standing in front of Lindsay Lohan with the goofiest fucking look on her face. And she says, well, hey, beautiful. Didn't think we'd see those eyes in a while.
Just the most alarming thing to hear when you have no idea where you are.
Well, hey, beautiful. She reminded me of Goofy a little bit.
Yeah, very.
She was a little bit like, I'll go get the doctor.
Fuck. I think also that was the woman who was the first name in the credits.
Like Fat Tina or whatever it was.
I think that's Fat Tina.
I surely hope not. Yes, by the way, the first listed credit in this, I'm just going to look it up real quick. What did we say?
Fat Tina?
It is Fat Tina!
Oh my god! Fat Tina!
Yeah, the first listed credit is Fat Tina. And no, Fat Tina is...
Oh my god, not her!
The really wild woman who runs the strip club. But we will talk about that in a second.
Oh my god, Miss Janky Nose.
We must never forget about Fat Tina.
Oh my god.
Absolutely, she's an icon.
Oh, she's just pretty skinny.
So, Aubrey's parents are at the hospital. They're saying, honey, we're so glad you're alive. We're so happy that you're still with us. We love you, Aubrey. And for the first time, Lindsay Lohan says, who's Aubrey?
Who the fuck is that?
That's actually probably more accurate. Lindsay Lohan as Dakota Moss, who she tells us she is nothing but rude to everyone in every scene.
Yeah.
But with a purpose, because she then tells a police therapist her incredibly wild backstory. She was raised by a crackhead. She makes up a social insurance number whenever she needs to get a job, but she never keeps that job long enough for it to be a problem. And she can only ever expect to see her mother when she's seeing the palm of her hand asking for money on payday.
Like she told her backstory like an author, like writing about a character's backstory.
Really, truly terrible. This script is really dreadful.
Yeah, it's theatrical.
Perhaps once was a play. By Jeff Hammond. So Aubrey's mother comes to visit Dakota because she thinks she's Aubrey at the hospital, and Aubrey's mother presents all these things to Dakota in a hope to rekindle some kind of memory. And then we got the first of many scenes of Dakota just being blatantly rude to clearly grieving people.
Yeah, just not a bone of empathy.
Literally at one point the mom is like, oh, music is supposed to wake up people who are in comas.
Do I look like I'm in a fucking coma?
Do I look like I'm in a fucking coma? She slapped... That woman brings a teddy bear that belonged to Aubrey into the room. She says, this is Mr. Jervis. You might as well have told me that Dakota slapped that bear out of that sad mom's hands.
Right?
And been like,
shoved it up her ass.
And been like, I'm not your dead daughter. You stupid. You think I'm her?
You think I look like that slut?
You think I look like some kind of loser? But what she does find... But what Dakota does get a stir... Oh, no.
Do you smell burnt toast? Are you okay?
But what does stir a memory in Dakota is she pulls out a photo of this beach, of Aubrey as a child at a beach, and it looks very similar, not the same, but very similar to a photo of her as a little girl at the beach. But of course, Dakota delivers a monologue, which, like, really all of her dialogue is like, my life is exactly like Aubrey's, but worse.
Right? She was like, yeah, this looks like my photo, but the water was not blue, it was brown. And I wasn't wearing a blue bathing suit, I was wearing a red bathing suit, and I never smile.
My mom thought it was some kind of treat to watch garbage float. Which is, funnily enough, my review of this film.
We did indeed. It was a...
Do you think it's some kind of treat to watch garbage float?
Oh my god, fucking absolutely.
5 stars out of 5. So the police are like, Dakota. Fine, we'll call you Dakota, but you don't remember anything about the last 2 weeks, where you were, who this killer is, when he cut you? And she's like, I remember everything from the last 2 weeks. And they're like, that's strange. Tell us about it. And she proceeds to tell a story about how she gets a job at this strip club, which is owned by Fat Tina.
Yes, Fat Tina, icon, legend, and star.
Who is this crooked-nosed cartoon of a woman.
Yeah, she, like, literally, like, it honestly could have been CGI.
And her, like, only lines, they're all good. Like, her opening line is, I don't care how old you really are, honey. If your ID says you're 21, you're fucking 21 to me.
And she said it like just that slow.
Yeah, with a dangling cigarette out of her mouth.
And just like the brightest blue eyeshadow.
Yeah, was incredible looking. Looks like a Skeksis from the Dark Crystal.
Oh my god. Yeah.
Which makes sense because this movie had a weirdly high number of puppeteers working on it.
Yeah. And a lot of magic.
Dakota talks about how the serial killer in question might have seen her at her stripping job on the first night. And so whenever we see this killer in any of the torture scenes with Aubrey Fleming, he's always wearing like a blue stocking over his face, so his face is obscured and blue, and he's always wearing rubber blue medical gloves. Yeah. So there are shots of this guy in this strip club wearing this like blue stocking on his face and these blue rubber medical gloves, which is nonsense, because if you're killing people, why would you be out in public? The most noticeable outfit imaginable. Right. Like the thing that is going to draw the most attention by a significant amount.
Like, how did he even get by the bouncers?
They were like, show us some ID, and he just held up a swatch of the color blue.
Yeah, good enough.
Like, checks out. You smurf.
Your ID says you're 21, so you're 21 to me. Fuck.
And so then it cuts to her outside waiting for the bus after her shift at the strip club. And by the way, she like strips in a shipyard. It's in the middle of nowhere. There's literally just like ships around.
Like it's like a country road.
And we get all the shots of this killer wearing his ridiculous blue outfit in public, in a tense stalker scene, which when you know the twist of the film makes no sense whatsoever.
Yeah.
Like, why would this character be stalking Dakota Moss? He wouldn't even know she exists.
Yeah.
It makes no sense.
It doesn't. Yeah. Because he was like legitimately confused when he saw her.
Yeah, at the end of the movie.
Yeah. Also, he was wearing one of those hats that like guys who like craft beer wear, you know, which is like weird. It seemed unnecessary. I didn't like it.
Oh my god. It cuts to another scene of Aubrey being tortured in the basement. This man starts stabbing her arm, and then it cuts to Dakota in the hospital, and a wound appears, a bleeding wound appears in the exact same location.
In her mind. Or was it real?
It was real.
Oh my god, I thought it was in her mind.
This whole thing should have stayed in somebody's mind.
Yeah, true. I thought she was like dreaming that.
No.
Oh wow, okay.
Nothing, this movie, you might think that all of this is fake. But this is real, bitch. Quote, Laganja Stranja. So, Dakota, of course, has woken up in the hospital. She doesn't have an arm, she doesn't have a leg. But fortunately, the most advanced robotic prosthetics known to man are readily available to Dakota. And I think they were given to her by Outcast, I think.
I thought it was chaos.
Chaos. Right. Yes.
Yeah.
I think it is.
So weird.
I think it's... Yeah, he sings Crab Bucket, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think
Crabs
it's him.
in the bucket. Yeah, that's him, right?
Yeah,
Like
I think
chaos,
so.
like K-O-S?
Yeah.
Yeah. Or is that Kanon? No.
Oh, portions of this are definitely getting edited out.
Yeah.
So they give her these super advanced prosthetics, but of course, we're given, I guess, what we could refer to as a Chekhov's leg, because the doctor warns Dakota that she has to keep her leg charged at all times, because it's a robot leg. I don't know enough about prosthetics to comment on that. I don't think that's the standard.
And why doesn't she have to charge her arm?
You're right. Oh my
Why is it
God.
just the leg that needs battery power?
So after she's given these prosthetics, she is taken home by Aubrey's... Well, she's taken to Aubrey's home by Aubrey's parents. In the second scene of Dakota being blatantly rude to clearly grieving people, she walks into Aubrey's bedroom and is like, did Aubrey choose the colors? Oh, Aubrey decorated the whole thing. Oh, Aubrey's got some very interesting taste. And then that hairless, full bald cat runs into the room, and the parents are like, looks like the cat missed you too. And Dakota's just like, I fucking hate cats. If this cat comes into this room one more time, I will slit this cat's throat. I will kill this animal. And I will burn you two to the ground while you sleep in this hideous house that I hate.
That was definitely the undertone, yeah.
It for sure was. The boyfriend comes to visit.
Oh my God, this is...
The boyfriend comes to visit, and he brings... What does he bring with him again? I can't remember.
Blue roses. A whole fucking bouquet of blue-ass roses.
All of the other blue flowers at that floral shop, they must look at that fucking dumb son of a bitch buying a whole ass bouquet of blue roses and think to themselves, well, fuck my drag.
Right.
I am naturally beautiful. Bluetiful, if you will.
Oh my God.
And these roses get picked? And she's like, again, being really horrible to clearly grieving people.
Yeah.
She's like, listen, buddy, I'm not your fucking girlfriend. And he goes in to kiss her to be like, maybe this will, I don't know, fucking stir some memory.
Which is a wild
she
choice.
bites his lip and is like, would Aubrey ever do that? Like
And
what,
then-
cannibalize?
And then commence horny scenes.
Yeah, she straight up is like, oh, you're this dead girl's boyfriend? I'll fuck you. And he is like, this woman is clearly stated to me that she has no idea who the girl I'm talking about is. And he's like, sounds good.
Yeah, no problem at all.
He must have a football game coming up.
And like
He needs
the
to
mom
relax.
is there.
Oh yeah, they go upstairs. She has a blue condom on her. She's like, I've only got one blue condom, so we better make it blue last.
Oh God. He's disgusting.
But we are treated to a full physical comedy bit of the two of them upstairs fucking with bra on, of course.
Of course, no titty.
But then the mom in the kitchen hearing everything and like furiously cleaning to try and not hear it and just giving us all kinds of like ugh faces. It's very weird. While the music is like down. It
was very rockabilly.
Like, it was so weird. It was like a Benny Hill sketch. It was like people running through all those doors. You know what I'm talking about?
Right? Like, I couldn't tell if it was supposed to be, like, purposefully funny, or, like, maybe it was supposed to, like, build conflict or something that never actually happened.
It built conflict within myself. As
Yeah.
I watched it, I stirred with emotions. And afterwards, Dakota Moss pulls out a cigarette. Out of nowhere.
Where the fuck she got that, who knows?
Pulls out just because she's smoking in this grieving family's home. She's like, I'm sorry you're sad, but I am not going outside to smoke these cigarettes. She pulls out a cigarette and she looks this dude dead ass in the face and is like, she ever fuck you like that? Did she ever fuck you ever?
Oh my God.
And I guess then he's like, oh, you're right. You must be someone else. I kind of thought that he believed her.
I really honestly don't know. Because his part ends pretty abruptly. Like, he's just no longer part of it.
Dakota, when she's talking to the boyfriend about what happened to her, she tells him this story about her at the dance club, and her finger falls off while she's on stage. She goes back, it falls off in her glove. She goes backstage, she takes the glove off, and her finger falls out of the glove. And then she wraps her hands in towels, and then Fat Tina, supportive queen that she is like, what the fuck happened to your hand? And Dakota makes up some bullshit about grabbing a glass and it cutting her hand. And she says, how are you going to get to the ER?
Hospitals are for rich people.
So Dakota takes the bus, chariot of the people, and she meets a man who says, you got to keep it above your heart. And so she lifts her bloody stump up into the air, and she's like, you got it, dude.
He had cute pink hair.
He did have cute pink hair. And she's like, don't you want to know what happened to me? And he's just like, people get cut. That's life. Have you ever been cut?
Yeah, that's life.
Tell me about a time you got cut.
The first cut was the deepest.
I've been cut. I'm circumcised. So Dakota convinces the boyfriend to sneak her out of the house because she has to go do some investigating. She has to do some PI work. The boyfriend distracts so that she can climb into the trunk of a car by running around to all the officers being like, hey man, you got a rubber? Hey man, you got a rubber? And all the cops being like, oh, no man, shit. These really wild, overly done macho responses.
The cops who are also supposed to be there to be protecting the girl that he's blatantly saying he's gonna fuck.
So Dakota gets snuck out of the house, and she goes to Jennifer Tolan, the girl from before who died. I don't know if we talked about it. Whatever. She goes to this dead girl's house. The mom is like, why'd you have to come here? You still have your life, and none of us have any left. And you could help the police, but you're not helping. Anyway, so then Dakota
It
goes...
was like that.
Because Dakota likes to stir the pot.
She really does. There was no other reason for her to go there.
Because she's like, I didn't come here to upset you. But she says it kind of like snotty. She kind of like stands up and does a poopy butt, like to the grieving parents. And it's like, I didn't come here to upset you.
Sticks her tongue out.
Yeah. She goes to investigate Jennifer Tolan's room and notices that Jennifer Tolan also has a young artist's competition award in her room.
And it's blue.
Yeah, she has. It sure is blue. Yeah, let's not forget, everything we've been talking about, it's all been blue. Except for when it's red.
Except for when it's red.
There was a lot of really crazy shit in Jennifer Tolan's room, too. There was a lot. It was decorated like my house. There was a lot of porcelain dolls.
Lots of haunted things.
Yeah, like lots. Just like... And they said in the police report that she was 19. So she's a 19-year-old with a room full of porcelain dolls.
Yeah, it was weird.
And a licensed Harry Potter folder.
Yeah.
Which is so distracting. It's like the one thing that they included to be like, see, real world. And it's so distracting because of like how immensely famous Harry Potter is.
Also, it was
like,
yellow, not blue, so it was just alarming.
Why wasn't it Ravenclaw?
Yeah, it didn't fit.
I would be pretty embarrassed if Lindsay Lohan was in my bedroom and found a Harry Potter folder. I mean, first of all, I never would. You don't stand J.K. Rowling. But what is something that if Lindsay Lohan walked into your bedroom right now, what is something you would be, like, really embarrassed if she found?
Oh, no. No, like, there's, like, 4 empty boxes of Triscuits at the side of my bed.
Sickening, bitch.
Yeah, it's called taste.
Look into it. Just like the police officers. God, I love transitioning. Just like the police officers transition to finding a story on Aubrey's laptop about a woman named Dakota Moss. And the police are like, we've cracked the code. Dakota is Aubrey. She just thinks she's this story character that she created.
Which honestly kind of seems reasonable.
Yeah, we found a story about a really rude girl
Yeah.
who was raised by a crackhead.
Right.
That reminds me, we didn't talk about this one line like way before this, where Dakota is practicing being Aubrey, and because Dakota can't do anything without being a sassy little bitch, she's like, my name is Aubrey. I've never seen the inside of a strip club or a crack house, and I've never sold my body to hairy old men with BO, because everything in my life is perfect.
It was very, very deranged.
It's so aggressive. I was like, wowee, this girl. So Dakota is like, she's really trying to crack the code. She's like, why is this happening to me? So she decides to do some research. She doesn't go to the library. She doesn't know any experts. All she has is a laptop with a little browser we like to call Ask Jeeves. And she asks Jeeves, like, what is it? Like, unexplained wounds.
Yeah. It's like bloody wounds, unexplained.
And then she discovers, like, a page about stigmatics, people who experience stigmata. But then she's like, this is not a religious film. So she clicks on the link that says non-religious stigmatics. And it brings us to this truly wild, like, YouTube video segment of this man explaining stigmatic twins, which is where when something happens to one twin, it also happens to the other twin, which would explain all of these marks which are appearing on Dakota losing her leg but not being cut by anyone.
Which would also, like, just, like, to be clear, this isn't real, right? It's like...
What? No, this is what's... No, oh, no. Stigmatic twins are not real.
Yeah, I was like, they're making it seem so official.
You were really convinced.
I was like, you know it's not?
In-universe YouTube video.
It could...
What about it seemed real to you? The story they told was like a man got shot in the neck, and across town, his brother developed a neck wound.
Yeah.
And died.
Yes.
What about that story where you're like, wow, T-sis?
I mean, crazier things have happened.
Okay, name one.
So they're not real.
But Dakota is as convinced as you were.
Yeah.
Because she, like, goes downstairs to Aubrey's mom and is like, listen, mama, like, I'm a twin, right? Like, I must be Aubrey's twin. This must be what's happening. I'm a stigmatic twin. You've heard of it? Google it. No, don't Google it. Use Ask Jeeves.
Yeah, ask Jeeves about it.
And the mom is like, no, I have proof. Here's this ultrasound footage of my daughter that I was going to have. And she tells this really sad story about how she fell, and then she was in hospital on her back for 6 weeks, and every once in a while she would feel her belly stop moving, and she would be like, come on girl, kick the hell out of me, and then she would feel something move, but ultimately of course her baby like dies, but she doesn't know, and it's like this really sad story, and is another blatant scene of Dakota Moss just being rude to grieving people.
What did she say?
She literally, this woman tells her this really heartbreaking story, and she's like, listen, lady, I know you don't believe me, but I am not your kid.
She says it just like that!
But then, because Dakota is so moved, she does cry, and for a moment I was like, Lindsay, you better work, bitch, because it was, like, actually pretty convincing. But then
she smirked.
She smacked! She impressed the hell out of herself on set that day and fucking broke. Smirks is like, yes, bitch. Academy voters, did you see that?
Like they could have just like fucking cut away like half a second earlier and you wouldn't have even seen it.
Dakota, for whatever reason, goes back up to Aubrey's room. I honestly can't remember. Oh, no, wait. She goes upstairs to get a closer look at the trophy in Aubrey's room, which is the same trophy that was in Jennifer Toland's room, both of whom kept their trophies on impossibly high shelves.
Yeah.
Because Dakota is, like, reaching up trying to grab it, and then she becomes distracted because in the mirror in Aubrey's room, she sees visions of Aubrey getting whacked across the face with a shovel by this killer. And when that happens, Dakota is flung to the floor. And then lots of shots of an owl for a reason I don't understand. And then
I'm still also
the
confused.
blue flower bouquet starts to wilt, and the flowers go into the mirror and float down a stream. And we get about 2.5 uninterrupted minutes of petals in a stream.
It was pretty relaxing.
I was like, wow, I could probably fall asleep to this.
I was confused at that point because, like, it flashes to Aubrey in, like, a weird wedding gown.
Yeah.
Or something, like an Amish gown. But, like, he hit her with the shovel, but it's like, how was she even standing in the first place? She only has one leg. And, like, they weren't giving her support. Like...
No, she was kneeling.
Which I...
Yeah, she was kneeling. How tall do you think Lindsay Lohan is?
It's true, she's not 6'6".
She's as fucking tall as Shaq. That's Hollywood's best kept secret. Lindsay Lohan is a fucking giant. Dakota's seeing this vision in the mirror of Aubrey just getting the shit kicked out of her with a shovel is enough for her to go and confront Daniel, Aubrey's father, and is like, I know what you fucking did. Your wife's baby died and you went down the hall to the crackhead who had twins and you bought one of them and she got the easy life and I was stuck with my crackhead mom. And he's like, you're being crazy. And then she just is like, Daniel, tell the truth, Daniel. And he does. He's like, you know what, actually, you're right. So they go on a little road trip to where Dakota claims she saw this vision of Aubrey. And she goes into this graveyard and she sees Jennifer Toland's gravestone. And next to it is the Young Artists Competition Award, the same one she has that her piano teacher was preparing her for. And Daniel, the dad, sneaks up on her and she turns around and says, I know who killed me, which in the context of the movie is not a line that makes sense.
No.
Because A, she's not dead, and B, it's not her.
Yeah. But also then that's when they start psychically communicating.
Oh yeah, the whispers. They really go to town on whisper sound effects in this movie.
Yeah, she whispered my favorite line of the movie.
What?
Winners get blue medals. But she's literally buried alive with the veil over her face, and all of a sudden she just whispers, winners get blue medals, for no apparent reason.
Also for no apparent reason, Daniel and Aubrey get to the piano teacher's house, which we as an audience have never been to, because the only scene she's being taught piano, it's at her home. So for whatever reason, Daniel and Dakota split up. She stays in the car. He goes on without her.
Yeah.
Breaks into this, like, serial killer's home. And he takes too long, so she gets out, and she goes to find Aubrey herself. But she gets caught by the killer. He, like, stumbles across her because she's, like, knocking over pans and shit.
Yeah.
She's just recklessly walking around being like, oops, oops, just knocking into every loud thing she can. There's a possum in this scene.
Right.
Sitting
In a little race car.
race car. Which temporarily distracts the killer with its hissing long enough for her to grab onto the killer's arm, and she cuts off his hand.
Right.
In an act of, like, I was like, girl boss, you better work.
And she even used, like, creepy fucking
blue
fucking dragon sword. Oh. And also it took a really fucking long time to cut it off. And I was like, bro, pull your hand back. Like, she's way smaller than you.
He should have been so powerful.
Right.
And he is kind of powerful because he does still manage to knock her. He knocks her out.
Right.
Because she discovers Aubrey's dad being bled out on a table.
Yeah.
Like sometime during the time where she was being chased by the killer, he found time to knock out the dad and bleed him to death.
Yeah. Like, there was, like, a surprising lack of, like, concern about being in a known serial killer's house. Like, there really wasn't any urgency about their movements.
There was no urgency about anything with Lindsay Lohan in the lead role. Because she finds her fucking, this dude being bled to death, and she's like, oh my god. She's like, Oh no. She reminded me of that little boy in that video that's like, an avocado. Thanks.
That. She prods him. She's like, Daniel, I need you. Daniel, I need you.
Daniel, don't go. Are you okay?
But then they have that nice moment where he wakes up and he's like, Aubrey. And she's like, sure.
Yeah, you know what? Fuck it. You know, if she had just been like, it's Dakota. He slaps him. It seemed like a pretty peaceful way to die.
Yeah, being bled out in a bathtub.
Well, when you
with your daughter watching over you.
She wasn't. When you say it like that, it doesn't sound as good. How do you want to die? Good interview question.
Like, I want to get hit by lightning.
Oh, fierce. I want to be killed by my piano teacher, which is the big reveal in this, is that the killer all along has been the piano teacher, and he's been sawing off people's hands so they can't use the keys to the piano, and saws off their legs so they can't work the pedals.
Right.
Which is, as we discussed, stupid.
But the big irony is now he has his hand cut off so he can no longer play the piano.
Oh,
either.
a whole ass scene of him just being like, doodle-doodle-doodle, bong, doodle-doodle-doodle, bong, bonk, bonk.
Just kept bonking.
Him just bonking the keyboard with his stump. It's really obnoxious. After the floor show, he then walks into his little torture dungeon where Dakota is now tied up. And by the way, there were mannequin legs everywhere.
Oh, yeah.
For no reason. There's just mannequin legs everywhere. And he, like, walks in and he, like, gives all the mannequin legs a little kiss.
He's like a cat, like grazing his face against all the legs.
He walks up to Dakota and he's like, why'd you come back? I buried you. I killed you. You should be dead by now, Aubrey. And she's basically like, I'm not Aubrey, bitch. And stabs him in the dick and then stabs him in the neck.
Yeah.
It's pretty anticlimactic.
But he did do a little walk amongst the legs.
Yeah. It ends with him walking into the center of all the legs and like grabbing onto a bunch of them and then collapsing to the ground.
Yeah.
A visual that meant nothing.
Yeah. There was no point. The legs also were never explained.
No, absolutely not. They were like, this is symbolism.
For something that's not in the movie.
For something. Apparently, there is like a 3-hour director's cut somewhere. 3 hours. Finally, every question answered.
I would love to see it.
So Dakota walks out into the grave. She's killed the serial killer. She walks out into the cemetery, digs up the blue glass fucking...
Yeah, which she finds because she follows the the crooning of an owl.
Yeah, the owl is like, hoo, hoo.
And she just follows her ears to the owl. And then she sees the exact spot the owl is looking at and starts digging.
And finds this coffin, this blue glass coffin, and using her robot arm punches directly above this glass coffin, punches directly above where Aubrey's face would be. But because she's wearing a veil, she's fine.
And it's blue glass, so it's
yeah,
fine.
it's soft. And she pulls Aubrey out of the grave, where they cuddle and have a nap, and then it cuts to the credits.
Yeah, there was really no explanation. Also, weirdly, no concern for the fact that she's looking directly at herself after being buried alive.
Oh yeah, Lindsay Lohan's not showing up to work to work.
No.
She's very like, oh my god, you look like me. Oh,
work.
Weird.
Work.
That's weird.
Not concerned about getting medical attention.
Do you want to go to Mykonos? And that's the end of the movie.
Oh
First credit, Fat Tina.
First credit. So how did you find this movie? Why do you have it?
I'm a connoisseur of fine film.
Why did you purchase this movie?
I'm sorry, are you not a Lindsay Lohan stan?
Not
This
anymore.
is the Lindsay Lohan stan account. We love her here.
Oh my god.
We love her here.
I'm unsubscribing from the newsletter.
Oh my god. And where can people find you on social media?
You can follow me at @Xiety_ on Instagram. That's it.
That's the only one?
I don't have any other social medias.
Listen, it's been a long time since I've uploaded to this YouTube channel. A lot has changed. I made a big deal on Facebook about being like, my Instagram is for my theater company, and then I just changed it back without saying anything. So if you want to follow me on Instagram, that's at Lilith Fair YYC. At Lilith Fair YYC. And thanks so much for watching I Know Who Killed Me with me.
Thank you for having me and for putting me through that.
You're so welcome.
Oh, so fun.
Thank you for listening to CAMP-O-RAMA.
Bye, bitches.
I'll be back whenever I feel well enough to do it. Bye.
Eh.
Don't let the ghosts and the ghouls disturb you, darling.